Hello everyone, I'm Rachel Sawani, back with another channeled message. Today I am going to be bringing in Merlin, who is a really fun energy to channel. Why Merlin? Mainly because I like connecting with him, and I've kind of been getting the hint that he's around, and getting a lot of magic innuendos showing up in my life, and I always associate his energy with magic, and I just have a strong connection with him. I feel also intuitively, and I'd like to bring him in. I feel he wants to share some messages for the collective regarding where we're at in our current cycle. We're approaching a full moon in Virgo coming up in a few days on March 18th, 2022. So I am channeling this message. It is March 15th. I had to double check that because I lose track of time very easily these days. And so he had me pull some cards regarding the messages that he has for the collective, and there's some aspect of that ties into the full moon energy coming up, or that we're going to start sensing and feeling in the next few days. And then I asked him, after I pulled the cards, what do you want to talk about? So I just wrote down, a stream of consciousness just came, all these questions and topics came up. He was giving me the questions to ask him. So I've got quite a list of questions here for him. And so I have called him in, but let's officially do that. Let's invite his energy in, because I want you to also practice sensing his energy. He comes in very much the same for me every single time. He's one of those energies that seems to be very, very much the same. I don't feel it differently. And when he comes in around the back, usually upper chakras, throat and up. Sometimes I feel a little heart with him, depending on how strong the connection is in that moment, but basically it's like his energy comes in from behind and kind of engulfs like the whole side of my face even. And also I feel a lot of pressure in my third eye with him. It's a very distinctive feeling though with him. It's like I can almost tell that it's Merlin because of that third eye pressure that I get, and then the heat that comes in with his energy heats up my ears a lot. So it could get very intense, I imagine, but he usually comes in strong and then kind of backs up and gets lighter once I recognize his presence. So I'm feeling him the same way in this moment as I typically do. And I feel with Merlin, he's a little bit of a, I don't want to say get to the point type of guide, but he doesn't beat around the bush, is what I'm hearing. He's very, straight, he's straightforward in his ways. He can come across as a little bit of, he has a little trickster energy to him, as you can imagine, but he also, a fun energy, but he also has kind of a sarcastic side, kind of it's hard to describe his energy in one word, but curmudgeon, that word comes to mind. I see him in as the old wizard looking type of man. It gives me a very old man feeling when I tune into him. And he's saying as old as time. He's laughing. Yes, Merlin, you've been around for quite some time. I've been reading up on him a little bit. There's some confusion, I feel like, and he's highlighting the trickster energy about him. There's a lot of myths about him and stories, and it's almost like his character or the archetype of Merlin is kind of comes from many different characters in history, it seems, or real life priests or magicians or alchemists or whatever word you want to call them. From like Celtic times, there's connections with the Druids, there's connections with legends of King Arthur. It's almost like his energy pulls from the energy of a lot of different beings and incarnations and possibly lifetimes on Earth that seem to culminate in this master wizard persona that we know as Merlin. So there is truth, there's fact, and there's fiction in terms of what the reality of who Merlin was, but it's a little bit of all of that, and that's he's a blend of many different energies and deities even. As I'm learning, there's strong connections with Atlantis, with Merlin energy, Melchizedek, a reincarnation of Melchizedek, with Melchizedek as Merlin. There's an association with Saint Germain. There's a lot of confusion as to who Merlin was and what his lifetimes actually were, whether he was an incarnation of Saint Germain, but he's highlighting this with me now, and how I've understood it to be explained to me before when I've channeled Melchizedek is they're all of these characters, all of these personas or beings are all associated with the same frequency of light he's highlighting, the same frequency of higher knowledge and wisdom, and access to that higher knowledge was gained throughout all of these lifetimes. And they're all, it's like they have this oversoul expression that comes through in all of them that is the same, like the same type of higher self type energy coming in through all of them, and yet there are different aspects of that soul expressing in various forms and formations. So it's often difficult to discern, the direct linkage and ties, but they're all on the same ray, is what I'm hearing, of light frequency, because really everything is frequency. So I feel like if you tune into Melchizedek's energy and you tune into Saint Germain's energy and you tune into Merlin's energy, you're going to feel very similar vibration and attunement happening is what I'm kind of getting out of that. So thank you, Merlin, for helping us to understand that. Yeah, but Merlin is more of the trickster type energy, the deviant type energy when it comes to more of a rebellious type attitude when it comes to, in comparison to Melchizedek and Saint Germain, for example. But there are other beings that he's associated with that I'd like to get into maybe in another video. There's an association between Merlin and the Egyptian god Thoth, which I find fascinating because I've kind of been guided to connect with Thoth in a unique way. But so I do plan on channeling a message from him and then maybe drawing some of these associations back around with Merlin, but that's not what Merlin's showing. Like let's not get into that now. Like we're going off the path. So let's rein it back into why Merlin is here and what he wants to talk about with you. Okay, he wants me to look at the questions. So the first question is, how are you helping the collective as a spirit guide? And then there's a second half to that. As a spirit guide, how do we call on you or know you are around? So let's start with how are you helping the collective at this time? He's showing lifting the vibration of the collective to amplify his frequency, which is the frequency of higher knowledge and sacred knowledge. So hidden knowledge within. The access points helping you to find within yourself the hidden realms, the enchanted realms, to guide you in that process of tuning into yourself, your higher self, for wisdom, for ancient knowledge, for key codes and activation points and portals and gateways to this ancient knowledge is essentially what he's helping to open up and shift our awareness as a human, our perspective on a collective level, to one that identifies with magic as being truth, as being the higher perspective of how universal knowledge works or manifests through the physical realms and dimensions, is what he's saying. He also has a strong tie with the elemental realms, and these are the realms that he worked with as a magician, as Merlin. In that sense, he was very tied to nature and the magic within nature, and how nature expresses magic in geometric form through its physical expression, how the language of God, the sacred geometry, expresses itself in and through nature, and how the elemental realms work together to assist creation, to assist Mother Nature to create and harmonize frequencies, to find balance within, to find peace within. He's saying all of this is relevant to how we tune our frequencies and awareness to the possibilities, the endless possibilities of that we have as creator beings, and the endless potentials that we have as a human collective to reach for the stars, he's saying, to reach out for that galactic knowledge and pull it in through your heart and your heart's knowing, your heart-based way of knowing. So your intuition is really where the seat of your magic, the source of your magic is source, he's saying, but it's tuned by tuning the frequency of your heart to receiving and being open to seeing. He's saying seeing is believing, to seeing the magic all around you. So he's really helping to open your eyes and draw your awareness to how everything that takes physical form in your life or comes into form as a physical manifestation is essentially a way of activating within you, has a way of activating within you the portal to these higher dimensions and these higher knowledge. And so just tuning your frequency to that is what his main goal is here. Working with the collective consciousness and us as humans. And so as a spirit guide, more on an individual and personal level, he can just help you tune your awareness to that, the practices of magic. He can help teach you the art of magic, divine alchemy, turning lead into gold, that sort of thing, playing with the forces of light and dark, the energy. He's showing me like as if you had a ball of energy in your hand, just kind of there's some light energy and dark energy in there, and you're just kind of playing around with it, kind of molding it. He's saying molding this reality to match your energetic vibration of what you of what your intention is all. He's calling it casting spells, is what, through your words, through your actions, and coming into alignment with your thoughts, intentions, words, actions, through manifestation and your power to manifest is really what he can help us with. He can help us align to that power. He's saying that he holds in that way, that he mastered in that way. So he doesn't feel very fully human to me. Interesting, when I connect to his energy, it's like there is a human aspect to him, like he's had human incarnations, but he's very high dimensional. There's a lot of galactic energy with him too, I feel. he's just very, he's like lives in both worlds. It simultaneously he's showing me he found balance within within all dimensions. It's almost like his frequency his radar could tune to all dimensions. He's showing like the elemental dimension and the like all of the, I'm sure there's more than 12, but the main dimensions where all of these connection points are made. He was fine-tuned as an instrument. His vessel was to receive information from all realms. So, very interesting. Okay, I'm looking back. Oh yeah, so he had talked about had me write down magicians and casting spells. So he's saying that's what I meant. It has to do with how I can help you. But he might touch on that again later. I don't know. That's just the feeling I'm getting. The next question is, what is, he wrote these questions, so these are for him. What is dark magic? How does it affect the light? And there's another part of that question we'll get to in a second. So what is dark magic and how does it affect the light? Dark magic is any kind of magic that is of a lower vibration, is meant to like hold someone or get someone stuck in a lower vibration. He's also saying trap one's emotions in a fear-based way of thinking, into perceiving that the universe is not on one's side, that one does not have the power of the universe or the ability to tap into the power of the universe and creation for good, for their own good and for their own sake and higher purpose, he's saying. So dark magic is used to perpetuate darkness, essentially. And living in a dark place is really living in fear, because when you're in the dark, you can't see the light, you can't see what's around you, and it can be very scary. So it's just that fear-based way of thinking, he's saying. And were you going to say something else? I felt like he was coming in with something. He's saying it's still used very much today by high society, by people like the elite, utilize dark magic to keep souls trapped in a state of consciousness where it's like they're just unaware, and they're not able to evolve to full maturity, or access that higher knowledge that is going to guide them into their power, into remembering their sovereignty, and through their connection to God and Source. So he's saying that dark magic, in that sense, is used to kind of sever that connection between Source and all of his children, the human race. And it's been very, it's kind of been used to torture the minds of humans. So there's a lot of like what's being broadcast in the airwaves through the media, through the shows that we watch, and it's just a lot of dark magic, sorcery, energy meant to trap us in fear. So how does it affect the light? It just draws the light down and it keeps it from expanding, he's saying, and growing in awareness. It's just a method of entrapment. And holding. It's like holding this energy. The energy wants to move, though. It's getting stuck. It's getting caught in dark places, and it's needing to be released and exposed to the light once again, the light of awareness and truth, he's saying. So the next question he wanted me to ask was, what effects or shifts and changes are taking place in the collective consciousness? And I feel like he's drawing my awareness to the cards. Okay, 1 second. Hold that thought. He comes in quick with his responses, so I have to keep up. Okay, yeah. do you want me to go to the cards right now, or do you want to start talking about, or do you want to answer this? He's saying I'll answer it for now and then direct you to the cards when I'm ready. So the shifts and changes that are taking place, just more light is coming to the planet. More people are waking up by association. So consciousness is shifting and raising in frequency. But there's also a lot of changes that still lie ahead. So there's a lot of necessary, he's showing like personal development or inner changes that really need to take place. He's highlighting divine alchemy, shifts and changes within that need to take place for us to really align with that highest timeline and outcome for Earth. Not to say that we're not on that path and trajectory, but to manifest that quicker in our current reality, we need to work together more. We need to support each other more in this soul growth process. We need to look at each other as divine masters in our own right. So we need to be less judgmental or critical of others who are doing the best they can, but offer them assistance when it feels right to do so, or when they are in need. Assist your brothers and sisters, he's saying, to support them, help them like hold their light a little bit steadier, and support them in those inner changes that need to be made. So looking within is key, he's saying, key. He's saying the magic happens within, the alchemy happens within. That is the alchemy he is speaking of, that is needed. Yes, there is the type of magic that you can practice that really allows you to like bend spoons or, shape shift and all of that wonderful stuff. But the real magic, the real truth of what you're being called to do at this time is to look within, to see your own self as a master magician, he's saying, as a master alchemist like Saint Germain. Him and Saint Germain, Merlin and Saint Germain mastered the art of alchemy in their lifetimes, and they are asking you to do the same. They're calling on you to do the same. So now he's directing me to the first two cards that I pulled, which came from the Metatron deck. I always, that's by Amanda Ellis. I always love to bring in Metatron since he's always my translator anyways. But an interesting card, the first card that came up, is a card that came up in a previous video, a more recent video where I did a message with Ashtar Command, I think it was. And he was talking about some of the downloads and upgrades that were taking place. At that time, that was only a few weeks ago. So this is the same card coming up. So there's definitely a theme here. There's definitely something to this. So it says priorities, building blocks for life. I'm going to tune in and see what the message is with this for Merlin, why Merlin chose, because Merlin chose these cards. So yeah, the self-mastery, the inner alchemist, it's about engaging with all the frequencies of life. It's about engaging, it's about knowing your power to tune to all the frequencies of all the dimensions and gain access to all of that higher dimensional knowledge that is literally within you, these portals and gateways. When he's showing the colors here in this pyramid, representing the colors of the chakras systems. And I know from Metatron that he calls the chakras, Metatron does, portals and gateways to higher knowledge as well. They're where we use our psychic senses. So Merlin's kind of highlighting that. Tune your awareness to your psychic senses. What are you perceiving that's outside of what your physical senses are perceiving, but even using your physical senses to perceive is also part of this process. It is like a project, I guess, in a sense. Working on ourselves is a lifelong project. but this process, this inner process. He's saying the word turmoil, so I want to tune into him now again. I was going off on a tangent there with myself. Inner turmoil, what are you trying to say? He's saying you need to be balanced within. You really need to be balanced within to pick up on, to develop your sensitivity to energy and how energy flows through you and moves through you. And he's showing the energy that flows through you to release blocks, any blockages of energy that you have, any places where energy might be stuck within. Tuning into the frequency of the chakras, getting to know your own chakra system, when you're feeling in alignment with your chakras, when you're out of alignment. This is what is going to allow the divine path of energy to flow within you, and to be a receiver and a transmitter, like a pure and clear channel or receiver and transmitter of divine energy, which is really love. He's saying love is the healing force. Love is the transmutable force, the force that transmutes and heals and releases all that does no longer serves. So embark on this pathway towards light, which means cleansing and clearing your karma, your soul debts, or that's how he's saying it, but essentially you want to clean up your chakra system and allow that light to flow in. So that's really an important message for all of us, I'm hearing. And then this second card supports that and clarifies that a little bit more. And it is Kundalini, untapped energy. And he's saying, yes, untapped potential. You all have untapped potential. You're all denying yourselves power in some way. So access within, go within to access that knowledge, but also look within to see the ways that you are blocked. You might be blocking the flow, and look outside, look in your life to see where there's restriction, where there's turmoil, where there's conflict, where there's a sense of not being in the flow, where things feel like you're hitting up against a wall, an obstacle. Learn to move those obstacles with grace and ease. Learn to look past those obstacles to see beyond what is being presented to you here, beyond the horizon. Look beyond the horizon and tune your frequency to that higher knowledge, that higher wisdom that's going to light your path way forward. And trust that and take action. Then take action and persevere on your quest. He's calling it a sacred quest, on your sacred journey back to source, back to self. Honor your visions. And there's a question about this he wanted me to ask, so let me go back to that. But he's also highlighting another card that came out, which is in alignment with what he's sharing now, and it is let your light shine. So this is about shining brighter, he's saying. This lesson in love and magic is really all about helping us to shine brighter and tap into our fullest potentials as human beings and sovereign beings of light. And this is the other card that came from a different deck. Color. So he's saying color therapy. Use color therapy as a tool to tune your conscious awareness to the higher dimensional frequencies as well. Tune into the various colors that you that give you power, that give you strength, whatever. He's saying choose colors, choose to wear colors or associate with colors or bring colors into your life that serve you, serve your frequency or the frequency you're wanting to match. So if you are, working on transmutation, wear the violet color, the violet ray. If you are, or you're wanting to tune into your intuition, like indigo and violet are good colors for that. If you are healing or wanting to be more heart-based, then green or pink. If you're wanting to speak your truth louder, blue, wear blue. Blue is your power color. He's saying, utilize all the forces. Magic is about learning how to utilize all of the forces of nature and that God gave you. And if you think of everything being a frequency, then tune, continue to draw that frequency in more and more and more, and you will naturally be tuning to that message or that frequency. You'll be receiving that message or those downloads of what to do when you're trying to strengthen a certain aspect of yourself. He's saying, and you tune your awareness on multi-dimensional, in a multi-dimensional type of way. You don't just do one thing to tune your awareness. You do multiple things, and you draw on your understanding of the forces of nature and how the universe works through synchronicities and symbols of communication. Then you are tapping into that untapped energy. He's saying there's just a field of energy around you that is completely untapped, and a lot of you are not doing it. He's saying a lot of you are not using it to its fullest. And so the magic isn't flowing in your life as much. Your lives are kind of dull. And there's nothing dull about being on Earth. There's absolutely nothing dull. Earth is a magical kingdom. He's talking about the elementals, and he's talking about the plants and the trees and nature and the birds. He's like, spend a day in nature if you're feeling dreary, if you're feeling bored. Go just spend a day in nature and observe, he's saying, all of the plants and the insects, and just be in awe of the beauty of nature, that there's this world around you that's self-sustaining and self-creating and unlimited in its beauty and power and wisdom that you're not even really fully aware of. Spend a day in nature and remember your magic, he's saying. So back to the question. He wanted me to ask, how are you being called to do this work? So this is more of a question for, like, on an individual level that he's kind of wanting to ask you to think about. How are you being called to do this work? What direction is your soul leading you? How are you being called to take charge and action? So how would you like to answer that? Well, he's saying, well, what are you being called to do is the question. And that is what you need to recognize on a soul level. You need to tune in on a soul level to your higher consciousness and awareness of what your heart is calling you to do. What are you being guided to take action on? Because that is what you're being called to defeat. So he's kind of showing me the image of like a beast to defeat, using your magic. It's a perceived beast. There's a perceived threat. There's something out there that you're scared of, that you're running away from, that you consider to be a threat. That is your nemesis, he's saying, your greatest nemesis. He's saying, what fear is your greatest nemesis? And learn how to release that old programming, learn how to rewrite the script. So he's talking about reprogram your own belief systems to tune to a higher state of awareness that is not fear-based. He's saying, love that enemy, learn to love that enemy. And he's not talking about necessarily like a physical person or something like that, but more or less like, what are we most afraid to do? He's highlighting failure. He's saying a lot of people are afraid to try because they're afraid to fail. So, honor that beast, he's saying. Give it a blessing in a way, because it's there to show you something about yourself. It's there to build you up and help you find your strength and power, to give you an opportunity to master your own strength and power, to defeat the enemy, to defeat the dark magic in that sense. But you have to be able to pick up the tools. You have to use the right tools. You have to find the right teachers and guides that can assist you in helping you to own your own power, is what he's showing. And it's kind of like that in the Lord of the Rings, the wizard Gandalf, there's many times where he was called to, I'm thinking of one of the movies where he's battling this like really dark, I don't know what it's called, but it's like this fiery red, like kind of demon type, huge energy, shadow type energy. And he's saying really it's your shadow self that you're scared of. You're kind of like, sorry, geez, my throat chakra's overactive today. I'm gonna get some water here. Merlin, you have a lot to say. I'm sorry. Just he's really quick. He's quick-minded. I could ask him to slow down, but I'm trying to keep the pace, I guess, because it helps to make the videos not super long and drawn out. But he's a fast energy. So yes, it's like battling the beast within, the shadow work, the integration work. That's really what it's all about, and owning your own power. And you have to be able to see it, but you have to express it. Be willing to express it and share it, in a sense. So let's see, what other question? Yeah, so he's highlighting on the page, he was highlighting the word archetype because he had me write down archetype. His energy is the archetype of the magician, is what he represents in the wizard, like he was referring to in Gandalf. And there's a lot of, it's like that's how you can really understand his energy and the role he plays in your life even. That's how you can call him in, is understanding the wizard. Finding the wizard within is what he's saying. So you're tuning your frequency to being the self-master, tuning your frequency to self-mastery and learning how to be the wizard within, and how to, use your own magic to defeat the dark, or to release the dark into the light, or transmute is another way of saying it. So yeah, he's saying use all of your power tools. He's calling them all of your power tools. So anything that you learn, or your awareness is being drawn to understand more how energy works. The color therapy, for example, all of these, just understand how these frequencies work, and that everything is, that all matter is made of sound and vibration. So if you can master your own vibration, you can essentially, create, do that outside of yourself, or create that whatever you want in your own reality. So very, very true. Let's see this. Oh, yeah, and interesting. One of the last questions. Yeah, not the last thing I want to talk about, but he had me write down divine mastery of the art of magic is what you are, and is what you are attaining to do, or hoping to attain, or. And then the question under that was, what does this mean for you? So in what ways are you being called to master? So it's like he just answered that question before I asked it in the last message he just shared about that. But basically, what does that mean for you? So that's what you're being called to think about at this time. How are you being called to master your own energy fields, your own, and it feels like he's talking about like specific action steps, like, are you being called to study mediumship, for example? Are you being called to learn Reiki, or are you being called to do like some inner work, inner healing work and clearing work? There's just many ways that you're being called, but it's for you to really hone in on that, to really find your gifts. You have to go in the direction your heart wants to go. And so always trust your heart to lead you to what is the best fit for you. So don't get distracted by the mind, letting the ego kind of go, and learning to tune into your heart is really important and crucial it's a critical step in this. It's a critical piece, he's saying, in this quest that you're on, the sacred quest, to stay in alignment, to actually be able to defeat your nemesis, which is really just an aspect of yourself that you haven't integrated yet. He's saying it's very Jungian. Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, these are two, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, Jung is a psychologist, and Joseph Campbell was studied mythology, but their teachings, they're really integrated. They integrate well in a way when it comes to doing shadow work or understanding the self and all these archetypes and layers of self. So I'm just seeing an association between how Merlin is kind of talking and what he's showing in the way that they explain it, how the psyche is and all of this self-realization and stuff like that. Okay, so getting back to the cards, this is what divine soul magic is what he's calling it. He had me write that down earlier. So it's a process of divine soul magic, awakening divine soul magic within these templates that are there within your own DNA, within your own genetic, structures. You're awakening that knowledge, the divine soul magic. Very interesting. Okay, so getting back to the cards, these are all messages for the collective. So there were 3 cards he had me pull from. Okay, he's saying, and these are what's related to the full moon. So we're getting into the full moon message now. That was the first thing he said he wanted to talk about. So he said full moon energy update. He came in with saying that he wanted to give a full moon energy update. And the full moon coming up in a few days on the 18th of March is going to be in Virgo, in the sign Virgo. And I'm not really sure what all that means and how it relates, but okay, so this is what I feel like this is what the full moon is going to help. Interesting. So this card is from the Crystal Therapy deck by Doreen Virtue, and it's each card has a crystal on it and a message. So the crystal on this one is Unakite, and when I looked at that, well, and the message is answered to prayers. All your great work has opened the door for divine solutions and support. So what they're highlighting with me, as soon as I looked at this card and I saw answered to prayers, my mind immediately went to like the situation happening in Ukraine with Russia and the war that's going on there. And then my eyes went to the word Unakite, and even that word looks like Ukraine. So this is just kind of a validation. I feel that your prayers are being answered. Your prayers are being heard and felt, and we are divinely supported on our missions at this time on Earth. So the sense is like, have no fear. All will resolve itself in due time in a way that is for the highest growth of all. But there's a lesson here for the collective, is what I'm hearing. There's a big lesson here. And it has to do with fear, and it has to do with attaching on to fear and not being in the need to be more discerning with our hearts and what is true based around what is true and what is false. And he's highlighting false allegations. So there's some false allegations, and I'm not following this situation in the news at all. I hear bits and pieces from other people, but essentially I'm not tuning directly to what's going on and how that's playing itself out. But apparently there's some false allegations, or that's what he's highlighting, and just there's a need to be discerning. Diamond is the other card that came out. Value, so this is more for the collective now. I think that was just kind of, well, it was for the collective, but that was more of a quick update for the Ukraine. But we're going to get into just general messages, I think, for the collective now around the full moon. And it's value your self-worth. You are God's precious gem. So what is your message for the collective with that? Shine like diamonds, he's saying. Be bright like a diamond. Remember, you are a diamond in the rough. You're just clearing your energy. You're polishing yourself so that you can shine all of your multifaceted aspects of yourself can shine through, can be seen, can be, vibrate and be seen and felt throughout the collective. So that's your work. That's your process. That's how you tap into that divine soul magic that you have. You have to own your self-worth. You have to essentially believe that you are worthy of God's love, that you are worthy of your own love, that you are worthy of the love of others, and that you are a valuable and integral part of this entire system of things, like, the earth, and just that you are needed, and your love and your light is needed. So that's just owning your truth, he's saying. The other card from that deck was citrine, and I feel like there's also some symbolism in even these two crystals. For some reason, they're power crystals. He's highlighting. They're going to help you manifest abundance, more abundance, and of peace and the feeling of security in your life. So tune to the energies of these crystals as well, and you can meditate on them in your mind. In your mind's eye, or just tune to their frequency and vibration of diamond and citrine. At these times, they're your power crystals, he keeps highlighting, for finding power within. So this one says, unnecessary worries. Release the burden of worries by giving them to God for healing and solutions. He's showing, let it go. Give it to God. Hand it off to God. If it's bothering you that much, you really don't need to be worrying about it. There's no need to worry or fear about anything outside of your control. What's beyond your control, give it to God, he's saying. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to fix everything. Just because you see there's a problem, don't try to be the fixer and the healer to everybody. Be the healer to yourself. Be the fixer and healer to yourself. Know what's going on in here. When this feels healed, you will automatically be healing all of the people around you that you touch, because your light field, your frequency, kind of back to this, is going to be pure love and light. It's going to be vibrating at such a high capacity that you are going to naturally shift others just by them being in your presence, in the presence of your auric field, without saying a word. He's saying, just walk into a busy, crowded mall and try this out. Meditate on the vibration of love. Lift your frequency up. Then go into a crowded space and watch people's body language get lighter when you entered in the room. You are shifting people in that way. You don't even have to say it without having to say a word. He's saying your presence is enough. So just know that you are that powerful. You are that powerful light of source. You can't not see it. When it's that bright and you walk into a room, you light that room up. You charge that room with your energy field. And it's like you give people life. You give like a charge of like a jolt of power, essentially. You're a power source. You become a power source, and not a power drainer, not like a taker, he's saying, but a giver. And so people naturally want to be around you and want you around, want your presence around, the more you are tuned to that frequency. It's the law of attraction, he's saying. Okay, great. So I chose quite a few cards he pulled from this other deck that I knew had some higher meaning for us. So, okay. So there was 5 cards here, and they came out in kind of a specific order, and it's from the Sacred Forest Oracle deck, and this is a very elemental deck, so it's very much on Merlin's energy. So a lot of cards came from this one, and we're going to start with the first one, which is so funny because it's related to what he was just saying, and it's prosperity, the bee spirit. And he's showing an association to what he was talking about with the crystals. It's a time of prosperity and abundance on earth. tune into that field. Don't tune into the idea that you're lacking in any way, that there's resources that are lacking. He's talking about that there's a lot of talk in the news. There's inflation. Gas prices are going up, at least for us in North America. And, people are getting like nervous and jittery about it. The feeling is like, oh my gosh, there's going to be a crash, or there's just like not going to be enough resources for everybody. It's that feeling and theme playing out. He's saying, do not tune to that. Look to the bee for guidance on that. And there's always honey. There's always enough. There's always, you're always supported is the feeling. And there's enough to go around is what he's saying. There's always enough to go around. Mother Nature always makes enough food to go around for, nobody's running out of anything. So just don't tune into that. Tune into prosperity. And love and joy he's showing too with the bee energy. And so the next card is Daffodil, Fairy, New Beginnings. So he's saying, yes, look at it like a new start. There's a shift happening in consciousness, and it's a new start. And this war with Ukraine and a lot of these old fears coming up are just that. They need to come up to be cleared, to be transmuted, and we are the light workers that are doing that. They're going to be transmuted in the light of awareness, in the light of truth. So the more people that wake up to the reality that we create our reality, and we don't have to choose the storylines that other people create for us, that we can still choose to love our brothers even though there's a war going on. Even though someone declared war on somebody, we can still choose to love all nations as our brothers and sisters, and not tune to the vibration of separation or division, and just keep sending light for healing to occur, healing on both sides, because there's old wounds that are surfacing. There's old programs that are being rewritten. When it comes to Ukraine and Russia, and like what their history is together, and why it's playing out, this conflict is playing out in this way, and even how America's involved with it, kind of putting their meddling in their business and picking sides, and all of that narrative is it's dying down. He's saying it's dying out, but it needs this expression. It needs to express itself in this way so that the clearing work can be done. So think of it as new beginnings on the horizon, and look forward to the change ahead, because it is a positive shift that is occurring. It may look negative, but it is essentially positive and for the highest growth of all. And then acceptance is the next card, Starry Night. So he's saying always remember to be in a state of acceptance and allowance for what is, and what shows itself to be, because these are the times that these shifts are taking place, and these shifts in consciousness, and there needs to be events that shake people up and rattle them enough into their core that they start questioning things. So just remember to be in a state of acceptance of the truth that is wanting to, or the message that is wanting to be shown, the greater message, the higher message. It's all to help you remember your power and who you are as creator beings. And then this card came out, Stag Spirit, which is leadership. He's saying take on a leadership role. He's saying align with the frequency of being a leader and a truth teller, one who is not afraid to speak your truth and show your love for humankind is really what that is about. It's not about fighting and going into battle and picking up your swords and going into battle, but it is about defending yourself and defending your brothers and sisters who are maybe too weak to defend themselves, by helping others to see the way that we are all connected and interrelated, and that when we love each other, love is our power. Love is our power force that is healing, that is going to help resolve all tensions and conflicts. So just being aware of how we are treating other people in our life, and loving other people and loving ourselves, and being willing to take the lead in helping to diffuse tension, he's showing, is really important at this time. Okay, and the last one was, of course, so Merlin, moonlight, enchantment, and magic. He's saying the time of the full moon is a time of magic, where enchantment, it's like he's showing that in fairy tales you always see like the full moon. It's just there's a lot of association with ritual, magic ritual, and the full moon energy, because it amplifies, the full moon amplifies the energy and increases its power. So do your rituals, do your full moon, set your intentions on what you want to clear and what you want to release. Use the element of fire. You can write your intention on what you want to create on a piece of paper, then burn it in the fire in your complete faith and trust, that knowing that it will, through the fire, be reborn again into that physical manifestation, is what he's showing. And you can do this with fears as well. You can use the physical fire, or you can use the violet flame, image of the violet flame, to transmute fears into love. Any thoughts, he's saying, where you are picking on somebody in your mind, or hating on someone in your mind, even if it's just in your mind, he's saying, if you're throwing thoughts at people that are not high vibrational energy thoughts of judgment or criticism, he's saying, you all do it because you've been programmed to do it. But this is what he means about being more intentional in how we tune our awareness and frequencies and tap into that magic of creation. It starts with our thoughts. So just pay attention to your thoughts about, especially when it comes to other people, and what you're projecting onto that person, and what might need to be healed within yourself, what you might be criticizing within yourself that you are seeing in that other person and criticizing about them. It's always about you. So just notice that and heal it, and release it. So I guess that sounds pretty spot on with how we really need to be thinking more, or focusing our energy more on healing and that inner growth process. Okay, so the last deck I pulled from was the Moon Astrology deck that I have. So I'm just going to go over these real quick and then wrap it up, because it's getting long here. And so the first card was, your commitment is being tested. The second card was, the end of a tough cycle approaches, which I feel relate to what he kind of already shared about where we're at, what's going on in the world. The New Beginnings card he's highlighting, is kind of associated with this message. And you're being tested. Everything is really a test. It's an initiation, a higher initiation process. So anytime your faith is tested, you are, anytime you're being called to have faith, it's like you're being tested. But it's for your higher growth, is what he's saying. And then lastly, these three cards came out. So there's definitely an end of a tough cycle approaching. So he's like, with this full moon energy, there's something that is ending. There's a cycle that is ending for you, coming to a close. So utilize that time for self-reflection as well, as to how you want to create something new, or close something out. So bringing something to a close, he's showing like kind of just, focus on the physical tasks involved with bringing that to closure. So if there's something you don't want any more of energy in your life, then you need to do also the physical steps that are necessary to close out that energy, to manifest new growth, he's saying. So the last three cards that came out kind of all together were, this was the full moon in Virgo, ironically. You are good enough. So back to the self-worth, which came out here. Value your self-worth. You are good enough. I feel like that energy has to do with the Virgo energy of this full moon message. There's something about that self-worth that's being really highlighted right now for us. And the second card was you and your loved ones are safe. So again, know that you're safe, trust that you're safe. The world is a safe place to live. It's an abundant place. It's a prosperous place. There's enough for everybody. So you're going to be fine, he's kind of showing. And then lastly, your hard work is paying off. So kind of a nod to the light workers who are doing the work. We all are doing the work in some way. We all are honoring ourselves by being open to even receive messages like this from higher beings who are here to guide and protect us. But really, we are being called to become our own saviors. So they're limited in how they can help us, but they will lead us in the right direction, and they will help us to get the answers that we need to hear so that we can stay on the right path. Or the higher path is what I'm hearing, because I think every path is right in a sense. Every path leads to growth and learning, and that's all that human experience is really about, just to grow and learn. We're not here to do it right or wrong. We're here to grow and learn, and you grow and learn through every experience. So it's always happening. You're always changing, but it's the higher path, the higher outcome, where more souls are awake and aware of their own power and their divine soul magic, I keep hearing from Merlin. So thank you, Merlin. I'm really happy you came in today, and wow, I do feel your energy finally starting to kind of die down. It was kind of towards the end. He's like, that's because you said everything. I said everything I needed to say. He said you channeled me quite well, actually. We're old-time friends. We haven't spoken a lot lately, but he's saying that he's always around me and helping me out. And he's helping out some of the clients I work with too, helping me make the connection that he's around these clients as well, because we all need a little Merlin right now. He's saying you all need me more. You all need me more than I need you, is what he's saying. Yeah, I'll just go off in the forest like a hermit and be a recluse, but I'm here to help. I'm here to guide. I'm here to assist. And yeah, you can find me, he's saying, in the enchanted forest. You can find me with the trees, living with the trees and the druids, in that kind of way. That's my style of who I like to be, but who I'm personified to be. But I do help you as a guide in many ways. Tap into that power and that sense of self-worth, he's even saying. So again, thank you for stopping by. I hope you all enjoyed that message. If you have a connection with Merlin, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I'd also love to hear if any of these messages resonated with you, your thoughts about Merlin and what he shared today, any questions you have for him, maybe in a future video I can ask. You can share those as well. And please also don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when I release my next video. I have a lot of different series that I'm working on. A lot of videos come out in a week, maybe at least 2 to 3 and sometimes more. I have a lot of live events going on in my private Facebook group page called Intuitive Soul Rising. I also give readings where I'll tune into your energy field. I'll see what guides are around you, what messages they have to share, and then you can also bring your questions. And I do also intuitive coaching and channeling coaching, so I can work with you more one-on-one when it comes to manifesting specific outcomes in your life, things that you're working on. We could work on a weekly basis together. I have a four-session package with that, and the link to my business page is in the descriptions box if you're interested in any of that. So please do tune in again, and I hope you all have a beautiful week, and we'll see you soon. Bye.